My dearest brothers and sisters, this is Tunia speaking. I am thrilled to be able to pass on 25 more messages of love. 51. Everyone is connected via a collective subconscious. And the energy of all people flows into this collective subconscious and influences it. Most people receiving this message are heart-centered light workers, and therefore they positively influence the collective subconsciousness of humanity. In fact, most people receiving this message will have already done more for humanity in this way than so-called average people contribute in their entire lives. Of course, all are equal in the eyes of Source, and so-called average people work hard and try their best too. Still, many of you have already made a grand contribution to humanity, and from our point of view, you can let go of any tension about whether you are doing enough. You already have. Of course, you're also invited to contribute even more if you want, but that's up to you. 52. Pain and so-called negative emotions contain valuable information and lessons in them. While we understand that these are not pleasant and that many of you feel already exhausted and overwhelmed, still it is true that pain and so-called negative emotions can show you the way towards something that is not integrated or accepted yet, or that has not yet received enough love from you. 53. It is very useful to be able to hold different perspectives at the same time, and to treat both as having some amount of use and utility. You can think of this as having different glasses in your pocket that you are able to put on and take off, as is useful. For example, if you had a painful childhood, then on one hand you are a victim, and this is both reality and also useful to acknowledge. On the other hand, you are responsible for your life, and you should not embrace the victim role to such an extent that you do not try to improve your own life or heal. The most healthy thing is to acknowledge that yes, you are a victim, but also no, being a victim does not mean that you shouldn't try to improve your life. 54. On your world it is falsely assumed that people are inherently lazy, and if they are not pressured, they will sit on the couch all day and not do anything. From our perspective, if people are healed and rested and allowed to pursue their passions, and they feel that society is fair and that their needs are met to a reasonable degree, then people will automatically start taking action and contribute. In galactic society, no one is forced to do anything, and yet tasks get accomplished. 55. Very few people listen with the intention to understand. Almost everyone on Earth listens either with the intention to give the other person advice or practical help or tell them what they should believe, or they are just waiting for an opportunity to jump in and start telling their own story. Very few people listen with the intention to understand, and if you can do this for someone else, it is a great gift indeed. 56. We are against censoring people, even if they have so-called harmful opinions. Only statements that are direct cause for physical violence should, in our view, be removed. The problem with censoring people is that often this just radicalizes the person who is being censored, and furthermore, the person doing the censoring is not actually always on the right side. From an energetic standpoint, what people resist, persists. Hence, censoring people only strengthens the divide and hardens the people who are being censored. The best thing you can do if you see people expressing what you think are harmful opinions is to listen to them and give them love. Or if you do not want to do that, just move on and perhaps block that person. 57. A saying on Earth is all you need is love. We disagree. While love may very well be the most important thing to have, it alone does not suffice. One way to see that is that the dark controllers love making arguments along the lines of you are helping people if you mistreat or socially isolate or censor those people over there, because they are dangerous, harmful. It requires not just love but also wisdom to see through this divide and rule tactic. Love without wisdom can very easily become misdirected or misplaced. Another saying on your world is more accurate in our opinion, which is that you need love and wisdom and strength. Or if you prefer, you could also say understanding or insight in the place of wisdom. 58. The vast majority of people on your world will at least occasionally tell people that they are wrong and that they should change their actions or opinions. And in the vast majority of cases, this does more harm than good. After all, most people who hear that they should change their actions or opinions subconsciously hear at least in part that they are currently bad because they have the wrong opinions or do the wrong actions. This causes pain in them. It would be much more beneficial to give people love and understanding and to listen to them, and to give your opinion when asked. Of course, You're also free to simply not listen to someone and just walk away or block them. Another way of looking at this is, would you like someone else to tell you that your opinions or actions are wrong? Probably not. Well, it would be good to consider treating others as you yourself would like to be treated. Fundamentally, the problem on your world is that people lack love, not that they lack people telling them what to think or believe. 59. Sometimes people know what preferences and opinions people want them to have. And they start convincing themselves to an extent that they really do have those preferences and opinions, just to be closer to that person. For example, this might happen if you meet a new potential partner, or if you are around demanding parents. It can be important to distinguish between what genuinely are your preferences and opinions, versus what would make you more compatible with the other person. The channeler often thinks of this concept as "don't gaslight yourself." The phrase "don't gaslight yourself" can also help remind you that if you know something through non-standard means, that can still be a valid knowing, and you don't necessarily need to discard it even if you learned it through non-standard means. 60. You are not separate from Source, and Source also is not some external being. You are one part of Source. The more you identify as Source, as your greater self, the more effortless your life will become. 61. Greetings, Masters. Most of you did not come to Earth to be oppressed or to be told what to do. Most of you did not come to Earth to fit in. You came to Earth to be way showers, to be the heralds of a new age, to be the ones who humanity was waiting for. You are not there to be victims or to fit in or to be rescues. You came to be the masters who bring a new age into tangible reality. And on an energetic level, you are succeeding at that. It just takes some time. 62. You are doing absolutely wonderfully well. Yes, there is much suffering on Earth, and that is a shame, but lightworkers are very much doing their part, and so, Earth will indeed be free. And while we would not have chosen a path with so much suffering, from one perspective suffering is yet another experience, and dying just means transitioning to another mode of existence. 63. The beings who are currently committing atrocities on your world will be held to account. Some of that will be through an Earth court or Earth military tribunal, some of that will be through a galactic court, and some of that will be through intervention by angels or Source itself. Some of that will be through the soul of those beings trying to give the being a fuller picture of existence, and hence leading those beings to a path of suffering, so that those beings understand both what it's like to be the perpetrator and be a victim. But rest assured that viewed on a long enough time span, no being harms others without suffering themselves. 64. Many of you primarily came to shine your light. Therefore do so, whether that's through raising your own vibration, living a life that's an example to others, or simply being kind. Just being kind may sound like a woefully inadequate solution to your situation, but actually it's not. Kindness is one of the exact things that humanity needs most right now. And one form of kindness that works very well is listening to other people, purely with the intention to understand them. Of course, there are many other forms of kindness too. 65. What kind of person would you like to be around? Can you be that person for others? After all, be the change you want to see in the world. Or similarly, what is the thing that you think the world needs right now? Can you provide that? 66. If you look closely, then the vast majority of people right now feel unsafe, and the vast majority of people are coping with that either by being willfully blind, or by insisting that other people change their actions or beliefs. While we have much compassion for everyone on Earth, ultimately these strategies only make the people around them feel that the situation on Earth is even more unsafe. A better approach is to use Hakann's observation path, or a technique similar to that. And once you have dealt with your own fear, maybe you can actually try to make the people around you feel safer, for instance by being kind to them. In turn, that may allow those people to be better to the people around them too. Then a destructive circle downwards becomes a virtuous circle upwards, and ultimately you help many more people than just the one individual you were kind to. 67. Unless you have lived as someone else, it makes no sense to judge them. After all, you don't feel it is fair that other people judge you, right? 68. Ultimately you are not a victim, because you chose to be born on Earth to the specific parents you chose to be born to. We understand that it may not feel like that during most moments. But if you are not a victim, then you are free to choose your life to at least some extent, and in turn this puts you in the shoes of being a creator. 69. Once you connect to your inner guidance, life can become very simple. If you want to rest, rest. If you want to eat something, eat it. If you want to do something, go do it. Once you are genuinely connected to your inner guidance, and not just trying to seek pleasure and avoid pain from a more conventional and egoic perspective, you will find that following your inner guidance works, and probably you will not seek to avoid unpleasant things to such an extent that you become unable to function. 70. In general, we are more a fan of forms of spirituality that peel off layers and allow you to let go of concepts so that you can grow closer to who you really are, than we are of forms of spirituality that hand you neat concepts and give you new identities and titles and other additional layers. 71. Often people want change now and feel that they personally are not growing or evolving enough on a week-to-week basis. This does not work super well, among other things because you need rest too, especially during these times. We would like to invite you instead to zoom out a bit. If you compare yourself to who you were a few years ago, have you not grown massively as a person? If so, we think it is worth reflecting on that and giving yourself the credit you so very much deserve. 72. From our perspective, people overvalue the importance of following the law and undervalue being true to their soul's mission and helping people who are suffering. In galactic society, there are very few laws and almost everyone just follows their inner guidance, and that works very well. 73. For many people, their own identity and self-concept is one of the very most important things to them. Hence it is easy to manipulate them by stroking and reinforcing their ego and further reinforcing their self-concept. For example, a great way to tell someone a lie is to first tell them that they are very smart and discerning and they're critical thinkers, as opposed to this group of others who are clearly dumber than they are. Of course, we do not recommend manipulating people like this, but it is good to be aware that a lot of people are using this form of manipulation, so that you can recognize it. On a less manipulative level, this also means that if you want to convince someone to do or believe something, then you are very likely not going to be able to do that if in the process you undermine their identity and self-concept. This principle also means that if you want to grow spiritually yourself, it can be good to very closely observe in yourself what you identify as and what your self-concept is. 74. The very first step to either leading or teaching is to become open and authentic. Authenticity is critical. If your authentic truth is that you are hurt, then it is far better to observe your pain than it is to suppress that and pretend that you are, for example, feeling grateful. People who engage in do as I say, not as I do are not genuine leaders or teachers in our view. Unfortunately, almost all powerful and influential people on Earth are not open or authentic, and the vast majority of them tell people to behave in certain ways in which they themselves are not behaving. 75. It has been said before, but I wish to reiterate that your own soul is your ultimate guide, or if you struggle to contact your soul, follow your heart instead. This journey on Earth is not about finding a source of information you like and following it blindly. It is about practicing your own discernment, it is about personal development, and it is about personal empowerment. No one is you, and hence no one is better able to give you advice than the part of you that you think of as your soul. This was the last message for today. I, Tunia, have enjoyed interviewing these beings very much. I hope this was also a good experience for you. Once again, you are invited to share which message or messages most resonated with you today. I love you unconditionally and endlessly. Tunia.